Hey there, this is Neil McPherson here with a new way to drive leads for any business that might actually blow your mind. All right, so stick with me here. If you've been landing clients or running an agency for any length of time, then you probably ran into a few of these problems like I have over the years. Okay, for one, somebody's already sold them the service you're pitching, right? You go to talk to a client, whether it's cold prospecting or warm at a networking event or whatever, and you're looking to sell them Google Business Profile services, but they say, oh, we already have somebody taking care of that. Well, if that's all you have to offer, what do you do at that point, right? Without a backup offer or another service or another way to get your foot in the door. And that's why I like to call this the Swiss Army knife of foot in the doors, because no matter what they already, no matter who's helping them with what already, there's an angle you can take to get them as a client, right? And that's what I love about this, all right? Number two, they want help with something that you've never done before, right? The client says, hey, I really want to start running YouTube ads. Can you help me with that? But you've never ran a YouTube ad before. So that puts you in a tough position of, do you say, yeah, sure, but not really know what you're doing? Or do you just say, no, sorry, we can't help you with that and lose out on the client, right? Either one of these two situations lead to you potentially losing out on the client that you could have got as a client if you could help them with the right service, right? So maybe you learn on the fly, you say yes, like I've done myself in the past. And like happened to me before, you get exposed for lack of expertise, right? Maybe the campaign fails, they waste some money, it doesn't go as good as you hoped it would go. And now what you wanted to happen anyway, which is getting them as a long-term client, for your agency, doesn't work out anyway, right? So it's a lose-lose situation. Or number three, they kind of put you on the spot. And I've had this happen to me a lot where they want to test you, right? Do you really know what you're doing? They ask you, hey, Neil, so what do you think would work best for my business? What should we be doing? Right. And if you're just shooting from the hip and you don't really know, I think, Facebook, and they're going to read that. They're going to sniff that out right away. Right. You can't go into those types of conversations with cookie cutter answers, shooting from the hip. You need strategy for their business backed by real world data. You want to be able to say, well, Bob, I think we should really focus on YouTube because for your niche, this type of content is working great right now. And here's what I would do if we were to get started right away. You want to know that before you even talk to them, right? And I know all of this because I ran into all this more times than I could count myself. Excuse me, I'll lose my air conditioning in the summer. I'll get that voice a little bit. But I've ran into this more times than I can count myself. And I've heard it from thousands of my students over the years and working with other agency owners, right? And I know for me, I definitely said yes more than I should have, several times. A lot of times because I needed the money, right? Or I wanted to get the client, right? And every time that I did this, or had to learn a new platform, decided I was going to offer a new service, I was now going to start offering, YouTube services. Well, it would take months, weeks, months to learn the platform, to test strategies, to scour forums and Google blog posts or whatever I could find to figure out what was working, what was the algorithm rewarding, at that time, and what not to do, right? And then test all of that. And then by the time you do that, that's the algorithm would change, right? They'll update it, with a new Panda update or Penguin or whatever it is, right? Or Meta will change the way the feed works, or all these types of things over the years. So it's really been a challenging and exhausting thing to keep up and to be able to offer everything that clients want or that would be best for their business, right? So, and that stuff happens all the time now, like the algorithm changes, right? I'm sure you've experienced this. But last year, a chance encounter with a prospect really changed all of this and the way I approach driving traffic, leads, sales, and really my whole business, actually. She asked if I could help her grow her Instagram and build out a community for her, which I had never really done before. I'd done Facebook groups in the past, and I dabbled a little bit with Instagram, but not professionally, not for a client, et cetera, right? And even though I'd never done either one really, like I said, I figured though with AI and I was gaining some good skills with AI and learning how to really use it like an operator, that I could give it a good shot. But what happened next, I wasn't really expecting. It was a very eye-opening experience, right? Her Instagram blew up fast. I think I got her 1,000 followers or something in the first month of doing it. She was blown away, and I looked like a seasoned pro who'd been marketing on Instagram for years, okay? But how was I doing it, right? And folks were jumping in her community. So I'll tell you a little more about what happened here. So folks were also jumping in her community. And then something else happened, right? I started getting asked by other businesses to help with their Instagram, even though I had, like I said, prior to this experience had never done this for anybody before. Okay. Fitness companies, podcast studios were asking me, local businesses. And while that was cool, I was glad that I was getting this, new interest. What really stood out to me was the underlying discovery of what the possibility of, the ability essentially that I just unlocked. Okay. I now had a way to fast track expert status in driving leads from. I can see my head's kind of moving out of there a little bit. And I now had a way to fast track expert status in driving leads from any platform that I wanted, right? Instead of having to spend months to figure all this stuff out, I could start, getting clients from LinkedIn this week if I wanted to, right? I could start marketing a real estate agent on Facebook or on YouTube or on TikTok or Pinterest, places I'd never, touched, right? For example. And over the last year or so, I figured out a way to pull the most current algorithm data, the best content strategies and more in a second from a single quick prompt, right? And then feed that data. So then what I did from there is I built my own strategy engine where you can grab all the data, you can find out exactly what's working best, what the algorithm is rewarding at this time, right? And then feed that data into a custom strategy engine that takes into account the business, the niche, everything that's working best, and gives you a custom tailored strategy for that business. Exactly. So you want to know exactly how to market this plumber on Instagram or this, clothing store on Pinterest or whatever it is, right? And you can figure out the best strategy for each situation based on what's working best for the platform and what will work best for that particular business, right? And you can literally use this to drive leads, build lists, generate sales, booked calls, and more for any business on any platform. Tell me if your mind isn't starting to go right now, right? That's what happened for me when I first was like, whoa, and I'm loving what I've been able to do with it ever since. So it was like unlocking a superpower, right? Like I said, it still blows my mind that you can do this, considering what I went through just to learn SEO, for example, 15 years ago, right? No more guessing, testing for months, trying to figure out what works, and then having the algorithm swipe it all out from under your feet anyway, right? Now you can know what's working best, how to improve as you go, and how to ensure success of the campaigns, and how to build a custom lead machine really for any business from any platform, okay? And that's why what I built into Platform Power AI, okay? It starts by researching what's actually working on virtually any platform that you want to jump on. TikTok, LinkedIn, X, whatever, right? Run it 6 months from now, and the strategy will be updated with what's working then, okay? It takes current trends, algorithm updates, everything into account and gives you the best strategy for what's working right now, okay? And how killer is that, okay? From a single prompt. And then all of that research is transformed into a customized customer acquisition strategy. So this isn't just about, growing followers on Instagram or, getting likes on Facebook or whatever. This is about turning these platforms into lead generation machines for a business, right? Helping them acquire customers by using sales strategies that are working, right? It's not just about content, likes, followers, and all of that. It's about getting people off the platform and into the business's pipeline, okay? Or your pipeline, right? And that's another point I'll get to in a second here. And then the final part is it takes all of that information and turns it into a professional presentation that you can use to pitch this strategy to the business, right? So you want to download the report of what's working for their industry. You want to get a perfect strategy for them. And you want to put it into a nice PowerPoint that you can send over, shoot a video. If you're not going to meet with them in person, use it on a Zoom call, whatever it is to close the deal, okay? So all this takes 5 minutes. That's the cool part too. So think about what that means, right, for your business. Now, anytime a client already has the service that you're pitching, no problem. Let's get you going on LinkedIn instead. I think there's a lot of opportunity for you there. Or, based on my research, I think that would be a great place for you, okay? Can you help us with YouTube, LinkedIn? What about Instagram? I really want to get those YouTube ads running. Have you ever ran those before? Instead of saying, I don't know, I've never done that before, you can confidently say, absolutely. Let me take a day or so to get look at your niche, your situation, and I'll get back to you. And you can come back to them in an hour, right? Because it only takes you 5 minutes to pull the reports. And then come back with a professional strategy in minutes instead of weeks, right? Clients ask for, what about the next situation, right? Client asks for the best path to driving leads with a good ROI for their business. Hey, Neil, what do you think we should do to really get these numbers up? You already know the answer before the conversation starts. Before you even walk in, if they ask you that question, you already know, well, I took a look at the entire landscape for your business and what's working best across the internet right now. And I really think we should focus on LinkedIn and their direct messaging because I think there's a great opportunity for you there. You want me to tell you how that works? Right? You see how that is? That makes you look like way more of an expert than the guy that says, I don't know, let me take a look at it and I'll think about it and I'll get back to you. Or I think maybe this would do, you don't want to be saying those. That's not the confidence that you want to portray when you're trying to close a high ticket client, right? So, well, you'll be able to say, oh, yeah, excuse me, that's my own slides. And then also, what I wanted to point out is what if you want to use this to drive leads for your business, right? You want to get clients, right, for a particular service, or you want to sell e commerce products or whatever it is. That works too. You can really use this to drive leads and traffic or leads and sales traffic for anything, any niche that you can think of on almost any platform you can think of as well. That's how powerful this is. And it's really why I hesitated to release it up until now. But for a limited time, I decided to make it available to my subscribers only. So you can excuse me, you can add this superpower to your business. They need some water. It's a little hot here today. For a limited time, you can add this superpower to your business, like I have to mine, for a super low deal. And you never have to guess where or how to get leads again, or have that lack of confidence when talking to clients about what to do or if you can be successful doing it. All right. So take advantage while you can and change your business forever with Platform Power AI. Click the buy button below, secure the best deal possible before the price goes up, and I'll see you on the inside. Bye for now.